What's up, guys? We are back, and Jake is gonna call a buddy of his. Oh yeah, that's Mike.
Brent. I'm Jake.
Yeah. Jake's gonna call a buddy of his because we have a lot of like new watchers. I'm sure that when we have other people on.
And then coming off the success, let's be honest, of our last
yeah, right.
Jake. I mean, Jake called a friend a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
and
went really well.
Incredible amount of insight on some real world shit.
The most insightful.
Yeah, I mean, it takes a lot to shut me up.
Absolutely. So, but we have a new guest this week, and Jake.
Yeah, Pat Kelly. I'm going to call him right now so you guys can hear the whole thing.
Okay, cool.
It's like perfect timing.
Pat.
Yo, what's up? You there?
Yes, sir. What's up, man?
What's happening?
All right, so hey, we're on the cast. We're here, dude. I got Brent, I got Mike, got Wes. We're not live, but we are recording.
There we go. Hey,
there you go. So let me just do a quick introduction of you, and then we'll get right into it. So I met Pat at the Merchant Marine Academy. Huh?
I'm going to try to do the technology thing here and put these.
Yeah, get them headphones in.
It actually sounds really good. So
it does sound good.
Very clear.
Okay. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, you're plenty good. So yeah, I met Pat at Merchant Marine Academy. We were really good friends. Kind of.
Was he on the football team too?
Nope. Pack Road crew.
Oh, yeah. It was like an honorary member though. I hung out with everybody, including the coach.
So
we would do all the fun stuff, but none of the work.
Nice.
Pat, grew up in Long Island. Irish family, all of his friends, and Irish, not Italian.
I want this guy to say gabagool real bad. A lot of friends and uncles and family in the NYPD and in the fire department. And 9/11 was a big deal for you guys. And 9/11 20th anniversary is coming up, so we wanted to talk about that. Then we want to talk about your career in the Marine Corps, and then what's going on in Afghanistan now, and then what you're up to now. So that's the plan. So with that. What was 9/11 like for you growing up in Long Island?
Well, let me just say, thanks for bringing me on. You're making me feel like I'm Howard Stern.
Hey, we're not that popular yet.
Hey, you don't have to hold back either, by the way. It's no holds bar here.
Yeah, no, awesome. Yeah, so again, appreciate you having me come on. It's definitely not something that's normally in my wheelhouse, but
it's not in ours either, bro. We just started doing it, and it's super fun. It's super therapeutic. It's nice. Yeah, and just to talk with people and stuff. So I mean, just feel free.
Yeah, awesome. So yeah, I mean, it's funny that you guys reach out about this. We're talking about the 20th anniversary of this fucking thing coming up here real soon. And it's actually coincidental, maybe not. So I was just in there at the museum, which if you ever have a chance to get up there and see, I mean, it took forever to do.
Right. But
it was done right. And it's really, it's something. I was actually there just this past week on last Thursday.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, again, purely coincidental, actually, before you even reached out to me. We were doing something with, there was a lot of Marines that were in New York City supporting, what we do. Actually, they were from New Orleans, and of course, they're worrying about their house getting washed away while they're up here trying to support the thing. That's a whole nother thing,
right?
But there was a lot of guys from out of town, and we said, hey, why don't we make a few phone calls, see if we can get some parking down there in the zone. So I reached out to a just recently retired friend of mine, Marine, who's now works for the Treasury Department, and he got us down. We were able to park the rental cars down there and walk right into the site, which was nice.
Hell yeah!
And then we went down into the museum, and it's awesome. I would definitely highly recommend.
I feel like, that was obviously such a big part of all of our lives that I would probably get pretty emotional myself going there.
Oh yeah,
and that's got to be something. Just. Dude, doubled for somebody that lives in that area.
The Johnny Cash Museum made me cry. You think I'm not crying at the 9/11 Museum?
That's true. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, the reflecting pools are in the footprints of where the original buildings were, which is wild to see the size and the scope of it.
Oh my god!
With all the names on there. That's before you even go into the museum itself, which is down like kind of below the site. and there's like remnants of the building foundation that they preserve. You know, they didn't.
Oh
remove.
my god! And beams,
So
right?
Then
they have like
walking around in the footprint of where the thing was. I mean, you know, obviously the site's been cleaned up for many years, but you know, you can't help but look at the people that are out there with a selfie stick and they're trying to get them the fucking reflecting pool and the names and stuff in the background of their picture, and it's like
it's not gonna work.
Guy, you know, you don't even realize there's some people that were never recovered. They're here amongst you right now. You know, they were literally turned to dust, and nothing was ever recovered. You know,
I think that's definitely probably one of the dark. It's got to be the darkest day for us, personally
for our generation.
But Pearl Harbor,
it was like the JFK
Pearl Harbor was that.
Yeah, Pearl Harbor.
Pearl Harbor, but
was that for them?
I heard a stat yesterday that blew my effing mind.
Yeah,
40% of the bodies that they have recovered still are unidentified to this day.
Wow,
40%.
In 9/11?
Yes,
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Yep.
So that's just the ones that were recovered. So there's some that will never be recovered. There was nothing ever.
They were just
recovered,
torched, jet fuel,
completely.
Dude, the jet fuel nuts. down the elevator shaft. I didn't even think about that till yesterday. It would go all
the way down to the electric rooms and everything. That's what the big explosions down in the basement were. Yeah, but yeah.
I mean, and we also the thing with the museum too is it's got, you know, when you get down there, there's a lot of cool stuff that they had left over. You know, I mean, they even have like the steel that when they, you know, because they basically removed every single thing out of that zone and then had it re-examined at you know, at the landfills, right, to look for remains, to look for anything, you know, and they have some great stuff on display. I mean, they have sections of steel that they were able to identify, like, hey, this piece hung in the place in the building where the plane crashed and stuff like that. I mean, you're there in front of stuff,
which has got to be surreal, right? Because it's only seen it on TV. It's like it would be like seeing like a celeb, you know, be invited to their funeral and you get to see them sitting in their casket.
So I remember this is weird. In 2007 when we were like, or 2003, I was a freshman with Pat at the school. It had only been 2 years.
Yeah.
At that point, we went to Ground Zero like on our first ever trip to the city, and it was just all fenced off, just giant holes. But I didn't realize that was only 2 years out. Like, that's the last time I went to that place, and it was just big, gigantic holes in the ground and rubble and stuff still. 2 years after, but yeah, no museum then.
I mean, you guys are like, you know, obviously, you know, regular patriotic American types who probably reflect on this from time to time.
Absolutely.
But honestly, even being here and being somebody that this was like so influential, I'm going there every so often. Like it really does
set things straight.
It really does. Like, it does.
In your mind.
It's, you know, the stuff that you forget. I mean, like they have the one section of it, and I remember they have like a, you know, like a running video every 5 minutes that replays the portion of the plane that was, you know, where everybody like fought back and it crashed in Pennsylvania. You know, and they're playing like the phone calls that these people made and left on messages for family members at home. Like, hey, listen, this is, you know,
it's dark. I
don't think I'm ever going to see you guys again. I just want to let you know.
It's just a bunch of love yous.
Making that call is brutal.
You know, and they're civilians, right? We talk about Pearl Harbor, but these are office workers and regular family people. I mean, to be put in that kind of situation where you have to decide whether you're going to leap out of a high rise.
I mean, they're thinking about breakfast 1 minute.
You know, it's insane.
Yeah, they're thinking about breakfast 1 minute.
Right.
Thinking about lunch the next, and then
Susan's at her desk eating a banana.
There's a whole couple floors, like 2 floors of people that didn't even know what happened.
Nope.
Or maybe they did. Maybe they saw it coming, and you were like, "Oh my god, done."
Yeah.
And I mean, and they don't know what the after effects, which is a massive war of 20 years, which.
Well, that's a long. I don't want to jump that far yet. So Pat, in your life growing up, I mean, you went to Chaminade High School, which is actually a pretty prestigious high school. We all knew about it because it's an all boys Catholic high school, right? All boys.
Yeah.
But like Bill O'Reilly went there. They had a couple. They have some very distinguished graduates.
And you went with Bill O'Reilly, huh?
He's pretty distinguished.
I'm just fucking with you.
And he would be the guy who talks about anybody who wants to go into journalism. It was a trip, you guys.
Yeah. He'd come back and, you know, give him a chance. So,
hey, listen,
So did you have a lot of family?
Guys in school. I was there, you know, I was in school. I was in 11th grade. I remember, I was sitting in an English class. And, you know, I remember looking around. I'm like, why the fuck are all these kids getting pulled out of this classroom? Like there's something's going on, you know? And the school's only 20 miles maybe from, you know, you could see the buildings, the smoke and everything from the, you know, roof of the school. And what they were doing is people, you know, a lot of the kids, you know, there's a lot of wealthy families or people work in finance and stuff. And they were pulling kids out that they knew parents that worked there.
That's what I was going to ask. Like, did you go to school with kids that had their parents gone?
You know, these famous names like Cantor Fitzgerald or whatever that, you know, or, you know, people, even cops and firemen that worked in Lower Manhattan. I mean, a lot of those units were just completely wiped out.
I can't remember his name, but there was a fireman that was like calling in every couple floors. Like he was just climbing that whole building. He ran up the entire building to get as high as he could. I think he got to like 80, but you could hear him calling like on the radio. Some of them got
up pretty high. And I think, you know, like, they called the evacuation for the building and you're listening to the museum, you can hear the radio transmissions.
Yeah.
And the guy was like, hey, we're up here. We got multiple burn victims, blah, blah, blah. We can't, you know, we're not coming down.
Never made it down.
And then never, you know, gone.
I'm telling you guys, I watched it yesterday, almost the whole thing, because then it starts getting into Afghanistan and Iraq.
You're talking about the 9/11
all the tributaries
documentary.
Afterwards, the 9/11 documentary on Netflix is so good. Is
that a recently done one? Is that something new?
Yeah, it just came out. It just came out recently, like the last couple weeks.
I was gonna say I've seen all of them. So,
dude, I mean, it's got the air traffic controllers. It's got the phone calls from the people, like Pat was saying, and there's a bunch of shit on there that I
So you heard about the part where the air traffic controller was telling them, like, look out for this plane. Where's he at? They're trying to see they're trying to pinpoint where this plane is at.
And then
it's a rogue plane.
Then they confirm the hijackings. Yep. Oh my God.
Dark day, man.
Dude.
Dark day.
And then, like, I guess the one that crashed in Pennsylvania, the pilot thought that he was talking to the cabin, but he actually was still talking to the air traffic controllers.
Yes.
And he was like, hey, everybody stay calm. We have a bomb. We're going back to the airport. No, we're not.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. You know, they have a small section in the museum where they just, you know, they show the pictures of the hijackers and basically some of the background. Because they don't really want that to overshadow what was going on.
You don't want to give those fuckers any fame.
Also, you know, how is anybody going to fucking know? I mean, these kids, a lot of them are born after the, you know, are going to be driving and voting and stuff soon and weren't even alive.
I mean, that's amazing, right?
So were you any of your family or friends like involved? I know you're, you know, like we said, you have a lot of uncles and stuff. I remember your uncle used to show up on the fireboat to school all the time, like stuff like that. It was just awesome.
Yeah. We had a bunch of my uncles were down there. My uncle Rich Weber, he was actually in the harbor unit, Marine Bureau, which became like a big thing because the place was such a mess downtown that they brought, you know, like boats and stuff. The sea lift, I guess you could call it, like part of the evacuation was big.
Yeah.
So probably the quickest way, really.
Move VIPs around, so they were down there. Obviously, everybody eventually went into the site to be part of the recovery effort. You know, I guess they thought maybe there was going to be some rescue, but I think I don't know the statistic, but it was very few people.
Very few. And I think
when I was in high school, I remember, you know, I'm sure we all felt this way, but I remember telling my dad, let's go up there. Like, because you thought you were really going to do something, right? You thought you were going to help people and stuff. Yeah. I'm kind of glad we didn't, because there's so much after effects that people are dealing with from being a part of that.
Yeah.
That recover, like.
Oh, yeah. I mean, honestly, you brought up a whole nother thing. I mean, you could spend forever talking about this, but for years we had tons of, you know, they eventually called it like line of duty because it was basically related to the fact that they were working employed down on the down on the site. And we, for years, I think, I don't know exactly the statistic again, but I'm 99% sure that there's been more there's more deaths
post 9/11,
the first responder field
cancer and all that
guys from stuff from shit afterward. There was the day of.
We're just inhaling all that shit.
So
they were telling them it was clean too and stuff.
Well, they're always going to lie to you that day. They got to get the job done. Yeah, it's unfortunately. So yeah, there's another documentary on that sea lift because all these tugboats showed up. Everyone showed up right there to Manhattan and was like, "Let's get them out." Yep. And just everyone's got their own story. Of course, I got mine. So my cousin was at the Merchant Marine Academy too.
Which one?
And my cousin Dawn, and she was a plebe there. She's just started, so it was her acceptance day. Pat, you remember that, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So we were up there September 9th or whatever. Wow. We drove home the 10th.
Yeah.
Drove home.
Wow,
And
that's nuts.
I remember going over the bridge thinking, I'm going to go up that building one of these days. And, you know, the next day, I think it was maybe 2 days later, it might have been the 9th because I think it was like a Tuesday.
Right.
So I think, and then I was back in school. We were all in the same grade. We were in 11th grade when it happened, pretty much, most of us. And, yeah, I mean, I remember Spanish class, just watching it just unfold on TV.
That's so weird.
So
I had a caricature done in the park like a month before.
Wow.
Which I mean, let's be
Well,
real.
yeah, we're not from New York, you know. Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I didn't really know much about World Trade Centers at that
Yeah,
time.
of course. No one did. I mean, I just knew there were Twin Towers.
Look,
Twin
it's
Towers.
a building with a lot, guys going to work every day. Well,
I know. Why would I? Yeah, it's a tall building.
My first time in New York was 2011, dude. I mean, honestly, I went to go see the movie Life. I went to a punk rock concert. But Pat, so you guys were in the Merchant Marine Academy during 9/11, correct?
No.
We were in high school.
Yeah, we were in high
Jesus
school.
Christ, I'm an
So
idiot.
my cousin was there. My brother was there.
Shut up over here.
So Pat, what?
I think I remember them saying from guys that were there when it happened that because it was one of the closest pieces of like federal property around that they had set up like it was going to be what they thought a morgue or like a triage or something.
They did, and it luckily there was only 3,000 or 5,000 people that died or whatever. They thought it was going to be like 100,000. So they
wasn't it like something like there was not a lot of people
was
that worked that
something
day. There was something going on.
They were clearing asbestos out of the building or something.
Yeah,
it was like a funky.
Yeah, we can go down that rabbit hole. I don't want to
No,
because
no.
I don't believe it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't
Right,
believe it.
right.
I don't believe that bullshit.
Well, so yeah, they had Kings Point set up as like a morgue. My cousin was volunteer fire department over here in Patuxent, over in Calvert County. So she was like there. She was ready. They all had body bags out. And thankfully, I don't think maybe 1 or 2 boatloads of people showed up, but that was it. Like nothing else. But they were ready and standing by, to like render aid and do whatever. And you could see the smoke. You could see the buildings.
I mean, I don't recall what the number is, but it was like tens of thousands of people obviously would work there at the peak of a workday. But it was still so early in the morning, and that it was early enough that
8:58 the first
plane.
plane.
It was like it. Yeah, and then the other thing too is it took so long to come down. A lot of people were able to get out.
Dude, the videos you see later on were like there was a couple girls in an apartment. I think that were like filming the whole thing.
They were NYU students.
That's an amazing video that I never saw until 10 years.
Dude. There's
nobody had a video ready that like a
I know,
camera.
I know.
See, so we were all in
It
school.
had to be to tape, and it had to be then digitalized.
I remember vividly. I was homesick from school that day, and I was on the phone with my mom.
He was skipping.
You pooped your pants. I remember.
Yeah, diarrhea. I was on the phone with my mom as the second plane hit.
Yeah,
and that's when the world changed. I watched this shit live, and it was. I mean, you guys were probably in school watching it in whatever class.
Not the first one. The first one we thought literally a Cessna or something like that.
That's what the report. That's what the president was even briefed on. He's like, it's a Cessna. It's an accident.
But he didn't know at the time was like those are like steel beams in the completely around the building, which is insane.
But then again, there's footage of that first plane hitting. A lot of footage.
Yeah.
And it's out there. I'm telling you, watch that fucking documentary. Oh my god.
Okay. Anyways,
who made it? The CIA?
I don't, dude. No. No. Did
they explain 7?
It's one of those ones that a lot of people didn't want to be in, like Robert Mueller and all that.
Did they explain Building 7?
No, I haven't got that far yet.
So Pat,
all right.
Why did you choose to go to the Merchant Marine Academy, and why did you choose then to go into the Marine Corps? Was it due to that or something else, or just when I met you, dude, you wanted to kill bad guys from day one. I knew that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, 9/11 kind of like gave you like a little more of a.
That was going to be my question.
Like it gave us, it kind of it gave you a mission, right? It just there was something there now. Hey, we've identified this threat, to the country, and we got to rock and roll, and that was basically like. It took many years. Unfortunately, we missed a lot of these warning signs. And, I'm not a policymaker, but I mean, you talk about the 93 World Trade Center bombing, the USS Cole, the Beirut barracks, the embassies in Tanzania. I mean,
the dude that was assassinated on September 9th.
And we just really didn't get all our shit and all our, cross our T's and dot our I's type of thing. And something like this, they were able to pull off, which was just like so spectacular.
Really, it is.
But for years I was going military, long before that. I had a lot of family members, like you said earlier, who, it was Vietnam, Korea, my dad, or, uncles, grandparents in World War I, World War II,
It's in your blood, man.
That's lineage right
even
there.
going back, like I think my great grandfather, was starting to do some homework on them. Like he even as an Irishman, he served in. He was in the, they were in India and all these other places with the British Empire.
Yeah.
Just cool stuff, and it always just appealed to me. And I had good people in my life too. If I didn't have the right people around me, I probably wouldn't have been as interested in it too. But that's what ended up happening. I really wanted to go to the Naval Academy. That was like my big thing. And but for whatever reason, things just seem to, you don't know it at the time, but it's in the end, it turns out better for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
I got waitlisted there, and I got, Kings Point was calling me like, "Yo, you want to come? You want to come?" And I was kind of like, "Nah, not really. Actually, I want to go to the Naval Academy. Maybe I can wait a little bit longer."
Yeah.
But it just became obvious. Like, hey, listen, if you're gonna do something, let's do it. And here's just kind of hit the I believe button. Like, hey, let's go.
Plus, we got to go to your house every weekend and drink Natty Lights.
I had the one good thing was like, hey, you're right. It was kind of like going
Right
to
down the
community
street.
college in terms of in terms of distance, right? I mean,
That's insane.
I have a question real quick.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
maybe this is a stupid question because you just acted like it was normal and Pat just acted like it was normal. Annapolis has a wait list?
Dude, it's the hardest school to get into
Yeah.
in the
You have to-
country.
Don't you have to get a letter
maybe
from
I'm ignorant
Congress
for thinking.
Same
I
with
just
Kings Point.
centers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
color me ignorant. I just didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. You
Yeah.
don't just sign up.
No.
It's very
Yeah.
competitive.
I honestly thought like, I want to go to the Naval Academy.
So,
Cool.
Kings
Well,
Point,
you
same
guys
way.
are Maryland guys. You guys
Yeah.
should know about it. Yeah.
I mean, no, Annapolis is one of my favorite places to visit and go, and
Pat,
I've toured the.
You know where we're from, dude. There's the college admission part of our high school was a joke. Like, they're not
dude.
pushing. I never was told once about
Nope.
the Naval Academy
I didn't know
or any
anything.
college.
No.
I just
Yeah,
happened
right.
to get lucky, dude. My older brother went there, also lucky, and that's the only reason we found out about it.
That's true, dude. Like we had
I
little
do
to no
feel like they need
direction.
to work on their PR because it is a great school and it's gotten better. I think since we've been tremendously, and a lot of people just don't.
No.
The message isn't out there. It's just
No.
not out there.
Where does the
You know?
Citadel rank with that?
Citadel is a pay-for school. I mean, it's hard to get in, but it's like VMI.
Yeah, I think they do a lot of their
Overrated.
stuff like
It's a private
most
school.
of the guys are on like ROTC or something.
It's a good school. They train Army officers, but it's a
You know,
it's
I
a
was-
private school.
I was in JRTC like the last 2 years of high school. Dude, went into a band afterwards.
I remember your shiny little hat.
Dude, they were like, you can go
Wearing your
into.
blues to school.
They were like, you can go into the service, this rank or whatever, like right out of it's like 2.
John Scott had Air Force ROTC.
Yeah, we were Air Force.
So Mike here, his dad's retired Navy.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
Chief Petty Officer.
So anyways,
Good for him.
yeah, dude, we were good friends at school. We were on the same like deck, right? We lived on the same level. There's
Okay.
10 of us or so, right?
Right.
We grew up basically together.
Yeah,
And
I mean, we spent a lot of time together. Obviously, you couldn't. This wasn't like you were out and hanging out every night and
No.
stuff.
You're just
We were
counting each other's farts.
every night you're in somebody's room, right?
every
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
And Pat was always like, dude, I'm going to the Corps. I mean, this is my calling. I'm literally going to
I
go
love
get these
that.
bad dudes. There's nothing that's going to stop me. And I was always like, man, that's amazing.
Damn
So
it,
your
man.
summer between junior and senior year summer, like the rest of us are chilling. You went to Quantico and did your OCS, right?
Right. So at the time, the school did a direct commission for every branch except for the Marine Corps, of course. That like whenever I get involved in something, it's always like all fucking
Yeah, all jacked up.
all screwed up.
That's my
Yeah.
life.
So I'm like, oh, I want to join. They're like, well, we have to go about this half-ass way of doing it because it's not on the up and up. And I'm like, yeah. It's like, all right, here we go. So yeah,
Kelly's just like, hey, could you put a gun in my hand and put me on a plane?
Yep.
yeah, right. They're like, well, I don't know how we're gonna do this. Then, Miller, you remember these guys? Like, well, you might miss like a week of school because the summer's only
Yeah.
4 weeks here, and you got to go for 6. And I'm like, okay, so like, and they just made like the biggest thing out of this. But I'm glad I did it. I'm so glad I did it because I was able to go right out of the door. And it sucked, but
I remember that,
went
man.
twice,
And you guys may not believe this, but Pat graduated with an engineering degree and was a really good engineer. He could have went and made a ton of money shipping out. Instead, it was like, nope, Corps.
I
So
love that.
So, Pat, what is your overseas resume? I want to know your tours, where you've been. I don't need to know what you've done, but I'd like to.
I want to know what you did.
No, I mean, man, we can talk about that.
Not, you know, honestly, I know like sometimes guys feel weird about asking stuff. I've always been a guy who, you know, I'm not out there tooting my own horn, but I also feel like, you know, we need to be ambassadors for our service.
Absolutely.
And for our
No,
work.
you are absolutely right,
and
sir.
if you don't, then people aren't going to know what's going on, and they're going to catch it from CNN, and you're going to have some pundit on TV telling them how it is. You know what I mean? So
exactly.
I think we have a duty and an obligation. You know, even if you give someone the G-rated thing, you got to give it to them straight. You know? And that's
there's really no use in candy coating war.
True.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
honestly.
I mean,
true.
Yeah. And, you know, I'm not a political person, so I don't really spin any of it. I just give it to, you know, people ask, and I feel obliged to tell them, because otherwise, you know, the guys that were lost, they don't get a chance to share their story, right? So, you know, I think we have an obligation to be, you know, to be a kind of an ambassador for our work, you know?
All right. So before we talk about you going overseas, what were some of your most ridiculous trainings? Like, what was SEER training like? I know you did some ski training. You did like out in the mountains. Like, what was that all about?
Yeah. So, you know, obviously I came in a post 9/11 Marine Corps where we had, you know, guys for years before I even got in, you know, involved in 2, you know, protracted ground campaigns, which hasn't happened, you know, since almost World War II times. Now, granted, the scale of it was much smaller, but, you know, for an organization that's only, you know, 175 or 200,000 guys, you know, that's a lot.
Hell yeah.
That's a lot of strain on the organization. So they were trying to bring the end strength up. So they were putting as many guys in as they could, which was good, you know, because we needed it. And, you know, I went down to Quantico. We all basically do, every Marine officer, even guys that go into the air wing that are going to be pilots, we kind of do like a 6-month college where they basically try to train everyone to be like a basic Marine you know, like a basic Marine officer. So you have, you know, all the guys will get exposure to the weapons and the tactics and the history and the, you know, even the daily day-to-day stuff, the admin stuff, the customs courtesies. Everyone learns the same basic thing, and then from there you go on to your specialties. We call it a MOS, military occupational specialty, and that's your job, so to speak. You know, so obviously, you know, I'm here. I want to do the job, and the job is, you know, being in the infantry. I mean, that's
hell yeah.
You know, the mission of the infantry. You know, go out there, you know, locate, close with the enemy, and you know, that's what I wanted to do. And, you know, one of the things about the Marine Corps too, and, you know, I'm a humble guy, but like our organization, like, is focused solely on the infantry community. Like, we've created an organization, you know, the Army has so many different things. You could be a doctor, a dentist, a fucking helicopter pilot, all these different things. You know, our organization is small, and every person, every, you know, leader, every piece of equipment, every aircraft, whatever, the mantra, so to speak, is like, we're there to make the brand new guy out of boot camp, that private PFC Lance Corporal on the tip of the spear, you know, the guy who's out there on the very front line all the time. We're here to make him successful, right? No matter who we are.
Yeah.
We're, you know, if we're putting fuel in trucks, or we're making dinner, or, you know, whatever. It's
all
to
part
make
of it.
this guy better and make him more lethal, which really appealed to me because I really like that top-down leadership, that style where we're focused downward instead of upward, right?
You're absolutely right, and and that's like, even after Marines leave, or not leave, excuse me, like retire, or, you know, do their time and get out or whatever. It's that once a Marine, always a Marine. You know, it's just, you know, it's cool. It's cool watching people like meet and reminisce and talk, and they address each other as Marine. I mean, that's just so tight.
The point is that, like, the rest of the military is so big and has so many stupid admin things and whatever. Yeah. And they're focused on whatever they're focused on. The Marine Corps is focused on just the end, the dude pulling the trigger. The guy, the tip of the spear. The guy fighting the actual fight.
Someone's got last out, right?
Everybody's in on him.
Well, when you look throughout history, I mean, then the tip of the spear becomes really obvious of what that was, which it was pretty much everybody. Like, it's the ones driving right towards the enemy, right?
Yeah.
It's that.
Yeah.
And I mean, those are the dudes. That's what you want to be.
Right.
We've all seen Braveheart.
I mean,
yeah, really.
You want to
be that.
You want to. I mean,
we're all little kids at one point, and we're all doing that. We're
feel
all
like
practicing it. We're doing shooting
I feel
fake
like
guns
and this is me
Yeah.
speaking out of my ass, but I feel like if you're good enough to be a Marine, like that's what you want.
yeah.
Like just like Pat's saying, like
Yeah.
I feel like if
I
I
like
was
the
half the
culture.
man
We
this
have a
guy
great
is, I want to
culture,
do
I
this
think.
shit too.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, you know, it's like one of the last, like, you know, forgive me for this type of terminology, but it's like one of the last like man shit that's out there.
Oh,
right?
dude,
Everything is so,
that's actually the
so
lightest
watered
thing that's
down
ever been
these
said on the
days,
show.
You mean
so,
it's
you
not
know.
Butcher Box?
yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
So
You mean I
think we
can't
have a
just
great
grow a beard?
organization.
Well,
Good
you're not
culture.
guaranteed. You're not guaranteed shit.
Right.
You go out there and they're telling you to do this, and you're like, okay.
So when'd you deploy and where'd you go?
So long, wrap all that up. I became an infantry officer, which again is a pretty small community, but it's the right community that I felt would
and that
really
is
suit
what
my
you
personality.
wanted. Yep.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted. I
Okay.
got lucky because some guys don't necessarily get the job that they want, and that could be disappointing. I mean, military is not a democracy. So
People used to cry when their kids got infantry. Pat
Right.
said he got lucky. He got
Yeah.
He's doing a touchdown dance
every night.
Yeah.
He's doing the icky shuffle.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if you realize that. Right? That's definitely. I got a couple screws loose, probably.
Hey man,
Not really.
I don't know.
Yeah,
You're
I don't know.
keeping it
Either.
together.
I
keeping it
want to
together
sit
pretty
around a
well.
campfire and smoke cigarettes and drink with this guy.
I want to see how
real bad.
I want to see how he sits down. With
Right. I feel like I should sit down to pee next to this guy.
all right.
All
So
right.
yeah, I mean, that was. I went straight out. We graduated, and I think within like 30 or 60 days, I was already down there. We were doing it. By the middle of 2008, we were wrapped up with everything we needed to do, and I got assigned out to 1st Marine Division in California. So, which is another one. I got lucky. I wanted to get out to California. Never left anywhere. Never did anything but Strong Island in New York City.
Strong. So
And,
that's San
wanted
Diego,
to-
right?
Yeah. Well,
29 Palms.
later. Oh yeah, 29 Palms.
You were at
is
29
where
Palms?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, that's where my dad was stationed. That's cool.
I mean, if you're into it and you want to go,
It's
you want
middle
to go
nowhere.
fight and you want to be the tip of the spear, this is another place where
yeah.
all those units were the ones that, they led the charge in 2003 during Operation Iraqi Freedom. I mean, those guys were out front because that terrain and that type of
Yep. Perfect for
is
it.
where they live, where they train, right? So
Oh.
if you want to
Middle-
go,
middle
this
of
is
the
where you
desert,
gotta
bro.
go. Yeah. So
They
I'm
don't-
starting to see the stars align here for me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, I got where I wanted to go. I got to go to an infantry battalion. It's due for a deployment. I went to 3rd Battalion, 4th Marines. They were actually the unit that, if you ever see when they were pulling down that Saddam statue,
Yeah. Yeah.
they were the ones that did that. They were right. They were the lead, the lead element.
What a
the main
day. I
effort,
forgot about
so
that
to
day.
speak.
Mm.
Yeah.
That was a good day.
When they pulled that asshole out of that spider hole, man.
Hey, what are you guys doing? Come down here. He's like watching his favorite TV show.
Dude, we used to go out to San Diego. I would go out there for my Navy Reserve trip for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I'm like working on a ship and then living at a hotel. And Pat would drive down and he would hang out with us. And it was like,
So where's
of losers hanging out
where's
with Pat.
We
29
had some good
Palms in
times out there.
California?
I loved San Diego. I
dude,
loved
San
it out
Diego
there.
is the best.
Where's
I
29
loved it.
Palms?
Somewhere up in
Dude, it's
California.
It's inland from LA.
Yeah, it's inland from LA.
Okay.
It's towards Death Valley. It's like in the
Okay,
middle of
'cause-
the desert.
So because
Yeah, I mean,
see a bunch of
it's
Joshua
legitimate
trees. You don't even
desert
know
out
what
there.
Joshua tree
I
is,
know
right?
I know the state
Yeah.
park or the national park. I
The
just know
national
when or
No,
whatever.
it's an actual tree out there. It's like it's like a spike tree.
It's a different type.
Yeah,
I gotta
Joshua
get
Tree
high.
is there.
Right.
You're
I don't want to
100%.
smoke
lived in
peyote
Joshua
and listen
Tree.
to fucking REM. All I
It
know
is
is that I've been to
ungodly
is it
It's
Corona?
so hot.
I've been to Corona,
Yeah.
and the hills and the mountains look like desert and shit. So I was trying to figure out where we
Dude.
were.
Yeah, it's if you go to Corona and you continue to go to the end of the world, that's where it is. Yeah.
all right.
I lived there. It was nice.
Oh
Anyways.
man.
The folks that live out there full time, like a civilian, just a regular
Yeah.
Joe Schmo from California.
What are they
were-
doing, right?
Everything's
With
just
some-
covered in dust, bro.
Yeah, they were unique. They
They were
some
different,
creatures.
bro.
They had In Corona,
Their cars, bro. Their cars.
They had buttons for the traffic lights for horseback. For horseback, you can hit the crosswalk on a horseback.
All right.
Sorry.
People are nuts.
I'm just trying to add to this kick-ass conversation. I suck. This guy's out here just being Captain America, and I'm like, hey, I went to Corona once.
They got horseback. Horseback. All right. Anyways, moving on. After that.
Yeah.
Miller, were you out there that time when my old roommate, I won't say his name, he was seeing that girl who had like a meltdown during that bar crawl?
Oh yeah, I wasn't out there, but I heard the story.
Yeah. So halfway through the bar crawl, this guy put this thing on. Yeah, I mean, this girl was a complete whack job, and for whatever reason, this guy seemed to attract those types. So he puts this bar crawl on. We're all going nuts. There's a lot of Kings Point guys actually were out there too.
Oh, it's probably such a good feeling.
The girl, she was like, if I remember correctly, I think she like jumped on like a pool table and was trying to do like pretend she was a stripper. She might have been a stripper too. I don't really won't recall. I definitely would. That's his type. And
crazy strippers.
She ended up the San Diego PD had to come in there, and they had to like, she wouldn't cooperate. She started resisting them, and they had to basically like hog tie her on the sidewalk.
Yes.
To get her arms and legs to stop, flailing around, and then take her into custody.
Yeah, they hog tied her.
And I look over at him. I'm like, yo, guy, your girl just got fucking locked up and in the middle of the bar crawl. Like, what do you want to do? He's like, dude, we got to keep going. We got like 5 or 6 places. Let's go.
We're in the States. That no man left behind shit don't count.
He ended up having I think she was also connected to like the Japanese mafia or something.
Was it Yakuza?
Yeah, something like that.
She was Yakuza?
She was connected somehow to no, she wasn't, but her former husband, she had her kids with or something. And the dude,
full sleeves,
we're talking about, loves the show, and he's going to hear it, and I can't wait.
Motherfucking Noshimura? Arigachimasu. Motherfucker, what is going on?
He remains nameless, but we did have a good time, and the thing was a success. I mean, I thought it was pretty cool.
Did you guys talk about it at all?
Except somebody had to call Tokyo to get her out of jail.
Yeah.
I need you to wire some money.
No, he bailed her out.
After they were done.
Wow.
Yeah, I think he ended up breaking her out. I don't remember. Yeah, I mean, he didn't drive a truck into the side of the building or something. But
I don't know, man. It's a bar crawl, dude. Anything could happen.
You got her out.
It is San Diego.
Great place, man.
Anyways.
I would go there. By far, best times I've ever had was we laughed our
and I
ass off
haven't been,
dude. It's
yet.
honestly, I was only there for 2 days. I didn't want to come home. I did not want to come home.
Well, you didn't want to come home because of the breakfast burritos.
You're right.
Yeah.
And the breakfast burrito.
That was another thing. Yeah, you could get a breakfast burrito at like midnight when you're banged up.
This guy knows. He knows.
Amazing.
And some hot sauce.
I think you're jogging my memory. I think the last stop on that bar crawl was the place Ramiro's that served. It was a
yeah, I know that place.
That was the last stop, I think. If you made it to the end, you had to eat the breakfast burrito, and it was like,
everyone was
a friend of mine from here sent me to a place. A friend of mine from here sent me to a place where the kitchen was open 20 hours a day. Dude, I got a breakfast burrito at like 3 a.m. And it was so good.
That's how cities do it. They treat you right when you
I
come
went
out
to
of the bar.
bed and I got on an Uber scooter and went back 5 hours later for breakfast and a beer at like 8 a.m. It was awesome. I love that place.
That's a trip. Yeah, that's the way to do it.
All right, so man, I love San Diego so much, and I love drinking stories.
Fucking right.
We can talk that.
We'll
get you back on for drinking stories.
Our new goal is to one day do this from there.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That'd be pretty tight. Little trip.
Oh my god, that'd be awesome.
On the deck.
Bar crawl. Hey, let's do the bar crawl he did. Let's see, it's almost like
probably like Santa bar crawl or something stupid.
I actually follow like they have like I Love a Pacific Beach or something like. There's a group on Facebook.
Yeah.
So you can actually kind of keep up with what's going on because everyone that posts on it, you can see a lot of the places are like these places been there probably forever. And
Shore Club, man.
Same shit. Yeah, Shore Club is awesome.
Shore Club is owned by Naval Academy dudes, and it is out of control.
The only place I went in San Diego, besides the breweries, it's they call it. It's like the oldest bar in San Diego. I forget what it's called.
You were downtown, dude. You got to get to the beach.
I was in the Gaslight. Yeah,
Gaslamp.
Gaslamp. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. But the beach is what he's talking about. Like that's where everyone used to hang.
I want to go to Bung Bung Beach like you guys.
Bung Bung Beach.
All right,
Mission Beach, Pacific Beach.
Did you deploy straight out of 29 Palms or what?
Yeah, so that
That's
the unit was
crazy.
actually originally slated to go to Iraq when I first got there, and I was kind of disappointed because at that point, like the thing with Iraq, in my opinion, was kind of slowing down, and that's not really what I was interested
I was
in.
wondering that, like,
This guy-
his
pissed that it
ass was on fire for a while, right?
This
and then,
fucking guy.
Yeah,
and then you start like learning more, and you start that starts
talking
to
about
wear
Saddam?
off. No.
Oh, him.
about Pat.
Was
Oh.
Saddam? Yeah,
I
I'm
don't know.
just
You
talking.
said his ass was on fire. I was like, I thought you were talking about like they
Yeah.
thought we were.
I
Because
mean,
he was
it's
itching to get over
metaphorically.
fucking
Okay, my bad,
motion.
my bad.
Metaphorically.
I got you. I'm on your team.
Okay.
here.
And he started realizing like some more shit, and then he was like, "I don't think we should
Hey,
be
we'll
in
find
this
you a
certain
war.
spot."
Don't worry.
Right? And he
Yeah,
still
right, right.
went though.
Yeah.
Which is
it was obviously you're going to go where they tell you to
exactly.
go. But again, another one of these stars aligning type thing. Obviously with the 9/11 stuff being so close to home, and a lot of guys felt like that was definitely there's no doubt in their mind that was the righteous thing to be doing and being there. So, just out of nowhere, well, not really out of nowhere, we had the election in 2008.
Mhm.
Right. So we had the new administration,
Mhm.
and their take was, if you recall, they basically wanted to really like, let's focus on this Afghanistan thing that we've got going on now for almost 10 years already.
Right.
At that time, we still didn't have bin Laden. I mean, it was like, what are we doing here? So the Obama administration really, they gave the okay to really beef up
Amp
the
it up.
Afghanistan mission. Yeah.
Oh,
and
dude,
we-
didn't the administration as soon as didn't they ask for like 80 or 90,000 more?
I think it was 30.
Yeah, we put at one time there was I think it was like 100 to 120,000 guys on the ground.
Right.
In that 2009, 2010
Straight
And
into
we did like
Afghanistan.
In the dirt.
troop surge. Yeah, that was like what they called it, Obama's troop surge. So
Yeah.
that's where we
mean-
got re-slated for.
On paper, it sounds like a good idea ish to like sweep
You know
and
how
just
expensive it is to feed and clothe and equip and arm 120,000
And
people
gas
a day?
up,
My
gas up
God.
all the
Forward
vehicles.
operating.
all the
Yeah.
ammo.
Anyway, that's
Sorry,
just a side
yeah.
topic.
Once we get, but we got the word that that's where we're going, and everyone was like, "Man, this is fucking awesome."
Finally,
This
we were amped
guy.
up. Everybody was really amped up. That they felt like it was, we're going to do like God's work there. And at the time, again, bin Laden wasn't caught. Who knew? Maybe
Yeah.
you're gonna stumble upon the guy. What do I know? I'm 20 fucking 6 years old, 27 years old. So
what if you saw him peeking up in those bushes, man?
We're looking at a picture
Yeah,
of
we
you, by
have
the
a
way,
picture of
standing in
you,
a poppy field.
oh, you
Yeah.
pulled one up? Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I haven't figured out Zoom yet, so we got
Yeah.
a picture of you up just when you're talking and stuff. So.
He kind of looks like the Channing Tatum a little bit in this
Yeah.
picture here.
It looks like he fuck you up.
Yeah,
I
he
know
looks-
that.
This guy is America right here.
Dude.
Well,
that-
yeah, I mean, there's people that fight the wars for this country, and it's the same people, their grandpas and their uncles, and everyone fought it forever and ever and ever. And unfortunately, it's still going on. I mean, it's not unfortunate, but
No, not
Right.
at all.
same people keep fighting the wars, and same people keep starting the wars.
It's it's what a soft ass JROTC guy wish he would have did.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like this picture's oozing machismo, and
worth
I'm
it.
like so jealous of this
It's
picture.
literally, yeah, it's sick. That's a sick
Fuck,
picture.
All right,
man.
so
Was that the
you're
poppy field?
Yes.
picture?
Yeah,
Yeah.
goddamn
Yeah.
right it is, you
Yeah.
sexy bitch.
Yeah.
Got that knife.
That was like seeing all that was crazy. I'm like, we got to get a picture of this. You don't even see, you don't really realize the things that you're doing until after the fact, right?
Right,
You
right.
know, and
It's
it was
it's
just
crazy.
like
You
at
got this
that point,
beautiful
I'm like, this
field,
is
and then there's
we're
mountains in the background,
in
like
the
just
middle
desert.
of the fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
like
They water the
you know,
shit out of the
it's
ground.
kind of a unique thing too. Like it obviously was my first time. I went twice in the troop surge, but you're like, you're walking around. This is someone else's country, and
Yep.
you're basically, you could do whatever you want. And I don't mean like in a lawless manner, but to think if it was the same thing here, like what? Like
Right. Who
If
is
I
this?
another
saw,
country's
like,
people
an
walking
Afghanis-
around and shit.
an Afghani dude just walking through the streets with a gun, I'd be like,
You'd
bro.
want to fuck him up. You'd want to fuck him
Yeah.
up.
Well,
Crazy.
now, if I was being oppressed and they were liberating me, that's a different story.
Right. They wanted
But
to-
generally speaking, yeah, I'd be like, no.
That
you're
depends on what they're being
Right.
fed. Like spoon fed, as in like if someone's
Yeah.
telling them, who knows what they're telling them?
All right,
Yeah.
so you're in Afghanistan 2009 or 10.
Yeah, my first one, we get in there in the troop surge starts going in the spring and summer of 2009.
What was
I
it
get
like
in there.
flying? What was it like when you were like? How long did it take like flying over there? And
It
then
took
what was
a
it?
while. We basically flew from California via some stops in
Yeah.
the East Coast in Europe and then Central Asia. To get that many guys in there, most of the flights were like civilian airliners that were contracted by DoD.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
And then
actually getting into the country, where did you fly?
Yeah, you fly mil-air into country like gray planes. You know, the ones you probably saw on TV.
Yep.
Where did you fly into? Was that Kabul?
No.
No, the U.S. made a deal with the country of Kyrgyzstan. It's like just north of Afghanistan. It was a former, Soviet bloc, one of those. And it was an old Soviet air base that the U.S. just basically just rented. And that was like where everyone staged.
We'll pay you to fly in here and then troop over.
And they just took over the airport, and that's how we were able to push so many guys in and out.
And that's the capitalism of the
you
war.
go on the gray plane over to wherever you were flying. So the Marines basically, we owned what was called like the Southwest part of the country, the more the arid, the desertish type thing that you're probably envisioning was where the Marine Corps was basically postured. And we had a great the Marine Expeditionary Brigade, the 2nd Marine Expeditionary Brigade was our headquarters element. The commanding general was awesome. He kind of reminded me of my dad. This guy. And
is there regular like
Larry Nicholson?
Sorry.
Oh, he got pretty famous, right?
Yeah, he only retired recently. I just saw it, and actually, maybe even in the last 5 years, like he sent me an email. Like, who am I? I'm the first lieutenant out on the edge of the empire, trying to hold down a small outpost. And and he came out there and visited us on several occasions. It was cool.
Your first week there, like what goes down when you show up?
So the very first time I was relieving a guy, the unit that we came to replace, right? You're there at the same time. You try to do a little turnover, right? So, you don't have to relearn all the things again, supposedly. You try your best.
Right.
And he's like, all right, we're going to take you out we're going to take you out today, and we're going to show you what's going on out there. And I think it was September 8th. I remember the day. First time outside of the wire. Like, I was pretty nervous. I was definitely nervous.
Absolutely.
Not like scared. I just don't know what to expect.
Right.
Well,
and,
there's
you
some
have a lot of guys that
slimy
rely on you to do the right thing.
Right.
So, it's actually one of the better stories of the thing. So this is the first time we're out there. We take a ride probably a few kilometers south of the outpost we were in. And we were in the one outpost of all the Marine controlled places that we had mountains. We were just into like the mountain range. So there was, a lot of mountain terrain, kind of the stuff that, makes you a little nervous.
Yeah.
And long story short, we're doing the left seat, right seat, I guess you could call it, or the relief in place. Our guys are riding with their guys. We're going out to check a place out. It's getting toward to be the end of the day. This is like one of the times he goes, listen, man, these people this is when they like to do what they got to do. Meaning like, enemy activity. Usually it's toward the end of the day, dusk, and then they can kind of like fade away,
slimy
and then you're left with
being
stuck out there all night, So we're driving, if you can imagine like a dry riverbed, right? In a valley, so to speak. And I hear like these loud boom, boom. And I'm like, and I can hear like all these little, sounds like someone's throwing rocks at the Humvee. And what it was
bullets?
RPGs, because they're fucking loud as hell going off. I'd never heard one shot at me before. So it was obviously learning curve.
Yeah.
And then the Humvee was taking, like small arms fire, either AK or, light machine gun. So they, we had a convoy of probably, I don't know, it was probably 10 or 15 vehicles. And he was like, all right, here we go. I mean, this guy's been, this guy's seen 7 months. He's
rigid.
He's like, all right,
he's ready.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, this is like what we do for breakfast.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
literally desensitized.
Yes.
Yeah. Completely desensitized. So, he's like, all right, get out on the other side of the truck. We get out, and then, we start to do our thing. And we're basically, trying to identify where these guys are, engage them, or, keep their heads down enough where we can.
That's gotta be a scary part, bro. Looking around like a little prairie dog.
You're just looking up in the hills.
Yeah. I mean, there was like buildings and stuff. There's a lot of ditches, micro terrain. So, you can't just shoot indiscriminately either.
Nope.
And especially, you want to make sure that you're targeting or you're engaging with an actual threat, because obviously you guys see this stuff on TV. it's not quite
what they want to
as bad
point
as
at
it
the
sounds,
most.
but
Yeah.
exactly. You don't want to hurt people that don't need to get hurt. Obviously.
No.
So,
Right.
Long story short, all of us together, they're leaving, so they probably want nothing to do with this because they're just like, let me get the fuck out of here alive. And then, there's us who are anxious to get out there and do stuff. So it's kind of like it's
You don't want to die on your last day. Oh
right,
my gosh.
yeah, exactly. You don't want to be the last guy on the last day. I mean, it has happened.
I thought no Marines went outside on the last day. I thought that was the rule.
Wait,
well,
what?
It wasn't really the last day. We had like, a
I
week
got
or
you.
two
Turn
where we
over.
overlapped.
Wait,
right?
what is that?
Yeah,
If it's
elaborate.
okay, in Vietnam, if it was your day to go home, you do not have to go fight anybody.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
it's really the right thing to do is to try
Absolutely.
to keep everyone back that's going to be leaving because
I'm like, well, what about the right week, bro? What
Yeah.
about the
They made it this far.
What about
You
the
don't
week
go.
of?
Right.
Let them get killed.
Nah,
I actually have a couple questions for Pat.
hold on. He
let me
didn't
just
finish this
this
part.
Oh,
one.
I'm
This
sorry.
is
My
really
bad.
good.
My bad, dude. Go ahead.
So, this is the first day out, the first time I've ever been in, taking contact and had to do all what you think you're going to do. These obviously guys are dressed like civilians. They vanish. They're not like somebody who's a stand and fight guy. They see you coming, they're going to take off, and that's usually how it goes.
Right.
So long story short, we're sweeping through the area and some of the buildings where we had been shot at from, and I see there's a fucking wounded Taliban guy laying in like a not a pit, but like a trench or something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I feel like it dropped.
And you could see him down. And I'm like, holy shit, there's a fucking guy right here. So what had happened is at the same time that these guys went and I wouldn't call it an ambush, but they started shooting at us from a place that, we weren't expecting. They didn't realize that behind them, there was like a mountain range, like a ridge behind them. We had our snipers, our sniper team was doing the relief. We're doing the
They're
relief
showing the boys
with our
around
new
too.
snipers.
Yeah.
So they're showing their guys what to do with our guys. So they're up there on this mountain observing what's going on, and they start seeing these guys shooting at us. So they were like a guardian angel.
Yeah,
and
literally.
They started engaging the guys because they saw them, and these guys had no idea, which was awesome. This one guy.
All you gotta do is look towards the mountain and smile and wave. Be like, thank you.
Which was
well, I didn't know they were there really myself either until we finally put together. How did this guy get shot? He got shot like through the meaty part of his ass, out of his through his hip. Like a butt cheek almost.
Yeah.
Bad. And I'm like, how did this? And what had happened is a guy was carrying him out, and the sniper engaged them while he was like doing a fireman's carry with the guy.
And he just dropped him.
What'd y'all do? Finish him off
he just
or
dumped
what?
the guy and he bounced.
Yeah. Did you give him one? Did you give him one for the road?
Yeah, right. And this guy was still alive. So we actually then got to take a prisoner.
Oh, you mean a detainee?
Which is like unheard of. We caught like an actual guy. We wounded some. We must have
no war
killed
crimes
or whatever the other guys, and then we actually got to take this guy.
I mean, was he like?
Oh, that's awesome. Did he end up in Gitmo?
So was he like? Was he like very like I surrender? Was he very like I surrender, or was he like kind of combative?
He was in bad shape. He was in bad shape.
Oh, he was just crying, kind of screaming.
We do, yeah. He was like a kid. This is not a hardened combatant,
right?
You know what I mean? This is a.
I was kind of.
You look at him and you're like, this dude never went to school. He probably never even took a shower in his whole fucking life.
Yeah. I was trying to wonder how he was acting as you guys were rolling up on him.
No, he was like moaning and like upset, like
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be pretty scared too. Like, you don't know who these guys are.
At that age, you're not.
You away.
Oh my god!
Could you imagine being that kid and watching a bunch of like fucking armored up soldiers
roll up?
It's like watching Iron Man walk up. God damn it!
Do they have some bad dudes? Yes, they definitely do. But a lot of these guys too are just
following.
They don't have. There's no school. There's no jobs. There's no nothing. This is what they do.
They're brutes.
That's amazing.
So we took the guy and then we turned him over to what at the time was like the Afghan FBI or CIA or whatever, and they called it the NDS.
Yeah,
National Director of Security. And then lo and behold, bring the thing full circle. 8-9 months later, whatever it was, 7-8 months later, when it was time to leave, this guy was back in the village, and they had to amputate the one side of his leg.
Oh man!
So he would have to. This guy would now live out the rest of his days.
And what was he doing? Like in the village, like
he was just a guy, like
just sitting there.
our people that we knew, like friendly local people, which we had met many of them, had said like, "Hey, yo, this guy, he's back," and he had like a set of crutches and they had no leg. I mean, that's like a death. That's like a death sentence out there.
Right. So he posed no threat going forward.
There's no handicap ramps.
Or, an extra wide bathroom door stuff. They don't have any of that.
There's no oh shit bars in the toilet.
If you want to make a ramp, it's kind of like a day at the beach. You kind of
you better find a shovel.
Jeez.
A bunch of plastic shovels and buckets.
Bright orange shovel.
That was the first day out. That was cool.
So what was your main mission out there? You're out in an outpost. So let's be clear. You're an officer, by the way. You have people that are reporting to you. Right? You have a team of guys that are under you.
I was a platoon commander.
Right.
Yeah, I was an infantry platoon commander, and I was out. We had like a small. It was kind of like a small fort, if I had to, in layman's terms, made out of Hesco. The dirt, the things that hold the dirt in them. And we had this little fort, and it was kind of like your kingdom. You're out there, and they told you, hey, listen, we're trying to establish governance here, and you're the only people that, the bad guys don't want you there, but the people who do live there, you're not out there in the village, pillaging, burning crops. Like they know that you
want to help.
We have rules. Yeah, we're here. We have rules, and we hold people to standards, and they viewed us as people that were certainly not corrupted. We're not getting influenced by a Taliban drug lord or a corrupt local politician who shakes people down. Right. So
was there any good-looking Afghan women? Could you see? Did you ever see one and be like, wow?
No, we never. We really rarely. I could say count on one hand how many I saw because they were held like. Even if you went to a home where you had to do something the custom thing would be like, okay, I want to get my women out of this room. I'll put them somewhere else. It was really like that.
Oh, they were just shuffling them around.
Wow. Yeah, you didn't see any at all. None.
Wow.
None.
That's amazing.
Now, maybe in Kabul and stuff, a different story, but we were out in the sticks of a place that's already in the sticks.
See, that was going to be one of my questions
going on there. And
what was it?
So in America, we're conditioned. All we see is videos and photos of Afghanistan, just mountainsides and shitty brick huts that are half blown up,
mud huts.
But how advanced are the big cities in Afghanistan? How advanced were they?
They got fast food.
Honestly, I was always out there on the edge of the empire.
He was always in 29 Palms.
I never made it to Kabul or Jalalabad or any of those big ones. No.
I always wondered
they're regular cities, dude.
Okay.
I mean, I spent some time in weird places too, like Tunisia, Tunis.
Right.
I would say it's a regular city, but not really. They don't have street sweepers out, the roads are all dirty and dusty, and people drive like maniacs. But they have bars and restaurants.
It's San Diego 29 Palms.
Okay. So they had bars and restaurants and TV.
They have English hotels, you can go stay somewhere. They might have the American club.
You don't really know.
There's expats everywhere, from America, Europe, Australia. There's English speaking people everywhere.
I mean, that's
and
the whole issue now.
Thing.
That's the whole issue now with trying to get them all out.
Right.
But
all right,
because they realize it's gonna go bad probably, or it ain't gonna be. Everyone could keep. Everyone probably lived and did stuff that they never did before. And they've known that for 20 years, and now all of a sudden it's gonna be like, hey,
it's fucked.
We got a regime change going on here, and
we're in charge now, and it's like, okay, fuck you, but not really. Don't hurt me.
Yeah.
So you're out there at an outpost establishing governance in the area. That's a good way to put it. I never really thought about it like that. But so were you dealing with a lot of the locals and, were you in a lot of firefight type stuff or what?
My two experiences there were very different. I know this is my first one I'm explaining to you now. That first day was actually very uncharacteristic of that area.
Slow.
And we ended up, really having what I thought was a good relationship with a lot of folks. And we didn't get our base attacked. They did, the bad guys in the area did wage an IED campaign against our outpost. But in terms of firefight everyday type of stuff, it really wasn't like that. And I honestly think it had a lot to do with the rapport that we built with some local people.
Yeah.
I mean, I told somebody yesterday, they were asking me about it. I said, we had one guy bring, how he knew it was Christmas Day, I'll never fucking know, because these guys, there was nothing there. There was no electricity, just not like a newspaper.
Right.
And they brought like some like local flowers and was like, hey man, we know it's an important day for you guys.
It's very important.
He went and dug up flowers or whatever, and I'm sure they were
Yeah,
very important to
bring
him.
them by. And we used to host people in there that we were local, quote unquote, leaders or people of influence, and bring them in. And, you know, because we had food, we have, you know, corpsmen and medics and access to medical care that they don't have. And, you know, we try to spread it around, you know, and try to do some right. You want to be able to lay your head down at night and know that you tried to do the right thing.
Absolutely.
Right.
You know?
The
Whether
other,
it takes
the
or
other
it
side
doesn't
of that.
take, yeah, that's not up to me, you know.
The other side of that's way worse
off.
off, man. Going to bed knowing you did something, and you're like, you can't live with yourself almost for that.
Right.
Right. And then the second time, it kind of looked like we ended up turning that area over to other troops from NATO who were not really they were not like combat type people. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Just like occupiers.
They were like just to kind of keep the thing rolling. I forget who took it over, but it wasn't like there was nothing. There was no fight there for them to really have to deal with after the time. I think that we spent.
It was all good. It was all kosher.
It was the French.
Yeah,
it was a Friday.
French can fight, buddy. They got some hardcore dudes.
Don't we all?
Yeah. I know. Contrary to what you would think. Yeah.
I know. It's such a stupid little thing that we all like latched onto that. Like throughout, like growing up, it was always like the French.
Well, they did totally bail out of World War II.
Yeah.
Other than that, they were tough forever.
But I mean, they should get shit for that, right? Like
they do.
If you were like a good, if you were like
they definitely do.
I know. But if you were like a star player, a basketball team, right? And you're going against this balling ass team, right? And you're like, oh, dude, my ankle, I can't play. You're like, and then you're fine. You're gonna get shit. You're gonna get shit, right?
Yeah,
for
you faked
years.
an injury for years.
But all you really got to do is look back to Napoleon, dude. He's the greatest general of all time.
Well, okay.
Yeah,
and then
he cleaned up, man. He almost had the whole place was France, you know.
Yeah, he was. Dude, he made one mistake that he's defined by.
Saved our ass in the Revolutionary War.
Huh? No, not even the fact that he was short. Dude, Napoleon was fucking the man, dude. He was the man.
Yep.
He was ahead of his time, I will say that. But he also led the French Revolution more or less, you know.
Yeah.
They were All right.
Let's do
anyway, back to Afghanistan.
We're going to do a whole episode on him.
No, we're not.
No, I want to.
Yeah, when you do that one, let me know. I want to be part of that.
Fuck yeah, let's go. All right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this one's more about like you and what you've done. So General Kelly, you're now on your second. Just kidding, it's not general, but you know.
You let that go too.
Yeah,
dude.
well, I would have believed you. What the fuck,
Lieutenant
Jake?
Gunny Kelly.
I was like, damn, General. Bro?
That's what J-Ro wanted me to say.
So the
for
second
you.
one, we go out there and it's a totally different place. It's a highly contested. Like as soon as you come outside of the gate, shooting at you, helicopters getting shot at, so they only come at night, like bad. And that's one that this is the Helmand River Valley, so you can see where the river helps irrigate the farm. So there's some green stuff too. Like they were like, yo, send back to the States. We need guys. We need to bring our green uniform too, because you're fighting in trees and bushes and all this other stuff.
Which is funny because we heard about uniforms being bought for over there that didn't match the terrain. Yeah, but it's not true because there is green areas and
there is some very green areas. 100%. I mean, I never was there, but if you ever watched like one of those like that movie Restrepo or anything that like Sebastian Younger did. Yep. I mean, that's like snow and pine trees and crazy, crazy
it's
terrain.
Around the equator, bro.
And that shit's in Afghanistan?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You said snow and pine trees?
Big country.
On the, like way up in the mountains. I mean,
well,
no
shit. See, I'm learning. I didn't know this.
Yeah, well, you got to see where it's at, like basically around the equator.
That's why I asked about the cities, dude. I literally know rocks and dust.
Yeah, Reno's further
dude, in like the 70s for the Russians, blew it up. Yeah, it wasn't like hardcore. They had awesome stuff. Very westernized city before then.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
God damn it.
So second one, you're in Helmand now. Super contested. Like, what's your mission there? An outpost?
So at that point, like we're way behind in terms of what we were. I guess what I thought we're trying to accomplish. vice the first time. And that's because this was a place that was like just very contested for whatever reason. This one particular district was called Sangin District. It was originally, the British had been there for years, and then they turned it over to the Marine Corps. And that was part of what this whole troop surge did, was kind of like overnight, like dozens of units basically came in the middle of the night and landed like right on top of these fucking guys without them like totally catching them off guard, and set up like little outposts throughout area that was previously like, you know, basically Taliban controlled, and that pissed them off. But it was effective. It really, like, you know, you want to get out and find who wants to fight back and, you know, put holes in them. And that's how we did it. I mean, they really stirred up the hornet's nest.
Mm-hmm.
But it, you know, again, it worked. It was tough though on the guys, you know, like it was just like one backpack. Listen, guy, you leave all your shit here. That's it. And, you know, we don't know when you're going to, you know, forget cots, forget all that bullshit. It was like the real deal, you know, because we were establishing all new things. And again, it was all an attempt basically, and, you know, I guess to boil it down, to give the government, you know, they called it JARO, Government of Islamic Republic of Afghanistan, give them breathing space to be able to come in and, again, establish like legitimate governance, not Taliban.
Get rid of these goddamn roaches.
Right.
How much are you
and
reporting?
Counter-insurgency is difficult, very difficult work.
So when you're doing your job, you got your men. Are they saying like, dude, this is your job, go do it, and then you don't report back for like a week, or like what? You know, how much freedom did you have out there to really do it your way?
We really had a lot of freedom because everybody was so distributed. You know, like the battalion commander and stuff would be. And maybe be at another location, but you couldn't see them because they couldn't get to you. It was just too rugged. So everyone understood, hey, listen, we're here to, if you can identify and target and eliminate fighters, do it. Do it. Because that seemed to be the only way to get a handle on this thing.
So you're looking for bad guys and shooting them as fast as you can.
It's as much as you could possibly do, while simultaneously trying to do some of those other things we talked about, right? Like try not to hurt the people that don't need to be hurt at all. And, exactly. You know, kind of just be an ambassador.
Establish trust. Be like, I'm here to get rid of the dirt.
Because these people hide amongst them. So,
that's the trashiest part that I fucking hate.
They don't wear uniforms, dude. They all look the same. I'm not trying to sound like a dickhead, but that's the way it is.
Because most recently, I literally got, it's just the dumbest thing, dude. I got in an argument with this guy about the Taliban won, bro. Like, go home. Like, saying that to me, and I'm like, won what? I was like, they literally just would hide in the dirt, number one, or hide behind women and children.
Right.
I mean, you're not going to win that.
Right.
You're not going to win it.
They
got tired of the lobby. The lobby was trash. They were cheating.
This is an insurgency. I mean, you saw it in Vietnam and in North Africa. I mean, when you're, you know, squaring off against a superpower or somebody this is the only way you can go at it anyway. You know, that was kind of like, it's probably out of necessity for them.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to defeat because that trust with the community is really where, like, if you can sway the community over to your side, then you got it. But if you can't, or it's moving slow, you kind of bleed out there.
How many times did you think you had trust and got turned on?
I like that.
Not me really personally, but there have been numerous.
Right. There's got to be, right?
Yeah, there was even a big one recently where the Taliban almost got the commanding general for all the guys in Afghanistan. This is like 2 or 3 years ago, and they had to. They killed you know, one of those Afghan policemen. Killed like 3 or 4 Afghan, you know, super high level influencers like on our side, and almost got the general. They had to like shoot their way out of there. They didn't even know they were even engaging other Afghan military and police forces because they didn't know who was who.
And shouldn't Americans just be
the craziest thing.
Furious over that? Because these are guys over there literally trying. I mean, if you could compare it, it's like a sheriff of your town trying to protect, like, or somebody in the military trying to protect their.
I see what you're saying.
And then a superpower leaves, and he's by himself, and then he gets captured and gets literally murdered, like on camera for people to see. I mean, I don't know if you saw that video. But that's what happened.
Right.
And you should be furious about it because this guy's just
it is upsetting. It's just the place is so far behind. It's hard to even explain. Like you were meeting people. I remember like the interpreters, we had a bunch of interpreters. Some were locals, some were from the US though, that were Afghans that were, living in the United States and then decided to take on this job for one reason or another. And one of the things is like, you could see the interpreter would struggle to speak to people sometimes. And I'm like, well, what's going on? He goes, listen, it's not the language. He goes, you don't know what it's like to try to speak to someone who's never been educated, like never been to school even on one day.
It's just a human.
It's just like a wall. And he goes, this is something that's going to be extremely difficult to overcome because there's so many roadblocks.
It's such a barrier.
We don't even think about, you know?
It's like aliens and us, like what we talk about.
Is completely different than what we do. And it's hard to...
And we have, and a lot of Americans have like a just filter over their eyes that they think it's like just some people, normal
they
people.
They think what we have now is just how everyone has it, and that's how everyone always has had it. Everyone's always had it this easy.
And this is like what we have here is an anomaly, really. This ain't real.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is not how it is.
Right. Like
it's how it can be.
People just don't get how lucky we are.
We're upset that they got a few fucking tomahawks that they'll never get in the sky.
They'll sell them to China.
That's the biggest issue.
That's a whole
selling
other topic we could discuss. But the bottom line is that the guys that were there, I don't think left them anything that was really of any substance.
Exactly.
I agree.
I mean, you want a couple of 30-year-old M16 A1s or something, like no one gives a shit.
We're still gonna light you up.
A busted Humvee, like we stopped using them there. When I was
they don't even start.
Right? Yeah. Franco said they barely started.
We're not driving this thing here anymore. So.
It's like you bitches ain't coming out at night.
Do you want to talk about any like big time firefights or ambushes or anything like that?
You absolutely do not have to.
It's fine. Just we can skim right over it.
No. Honestly, if you guys, I'll talk about.
You can talk about one that sticks out, or
I'll talk about one or two. But if you guys ever get, if you ever, I know you guys have the computer and stuff down there, but you can look at a lot of this stuff. Like, even at the second time I finally got my helmet camera going, so it was kind of cool to capture a lot of this day-to-day stuff, and it's been a while since I've actually looked at it, but I know we have some pretty good videos in there.
Where was it at, you said?
This was in the second time was in, so actually the second time I went back there, the unit that replaced me when I left the first time, they were still there, and they had taken a bunch of casualties and called back to 29 Palms to the division and said, hey, we need replacements. Is anybody interested in going back?
That's how it works, huh?
Did you ever see someone so confident and then suddenly not confident and it really messed you up? Did it throw off your stride? Did it make you feel less confident?
Like once the gun started?
Yeah.
Right.
Someone you thought was different.
These kids that were out there, I never seen anybody hesitate to do what had to be done.
That's what I was wondering. Just hesitation.
Me too.
Kind of like a little bit of, like, they just suddenly weren't that same person.
No,
that's crazy. I love that.
Nothing. I never saw it.
See that?
I mean, they might have been feeling it inside, but you
never saw it because they that's it. It's like this now.
They weed those guys out.
See,
they're good at it.
See, I was thinking the exact same thing, Mike. I was like, who landed next to Kelly and got in the shit and went, uh-oh. Like, I don't want to be here anymore.
No. Yeah, you don't get that choice though, really, when you're in it. I'm sure. I mean, look at me talking like I know.
Right.
But I'm just saying. I feel
you
like
asked the question I've been dying to ask.
Yeah, I feel like you just don't have a choice, and your mind takes over, and all that training comes in. Yeah, no, yeah. I think we all have a little bit of it.
Everything's happening so quickly, you don't really have time, even if you want to think about yourself.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like,
survival kicks in quick. Remember, Brent? Brent here was scared of paintball.
Can we not? Can we not bring up paintball? He was so scared. Kelly right now.
Right.
Listen, I love this guy. I don't really care about paintball.
He was so scared to play paintball that he was like, "Drop me off here. I'll walk home." And we were like, "No, you're coming with us." And listen, I'm telling you, as soon as the shit started and he could get hit with a paintball, my man dove in the water.
He turned into Rambo.
He turned into Rambo, bro.
He got really good at it.
It changed. Everything changed with him.
It's not. I wouldn't say it's that different.
I know.
You're just
Oh, shut up.
I mean, in terms of like the way you think.
No,
like, hey,
exactly.
I want to do this. I want to be good at it.
You don't have a
like,
choice.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Not getting hit with that paintball, bro.
Once again,
imagine one
I am
paintball
not
takes you out.
comparing to what Kelly did
No,
in
I know.
Afghanistan.
I wasn't either. I was just saying.
I know, but I don't want it to come across as that because I'm a giant pussy.
Brent, no one took it that way. I
All right,
promise.
good. All right, cool. All right. This
I promise.
You already got a girlfriend. You're good, bud.
No, I
They're
don't.
like, oh my gosh! Did you by the time he jumped in the water?
I thought Franco was my hero. This guy's my new hero. Fuck Franco.
I got to listen to Franco's thing too.
He was
good in touch.
Oh, he's great, dude.
Dude,
He's
it was a
great.
great time.
He's a good talker. You know that.
Yeah,
we
he's
stay in
wild.
touch and stuff. He's good. He's a good guy, man.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see he's doing well.
Football.
So, hey, one sad story is the guy that replaced you was a guy I knew. I can't say that I'm friends with him. I'm not gonna claim that, but I was friends with his sister. Is that the story? William Donnelly replaced you?
Yeah. So, I guess we were going to probably get to this. This kind of brings some of that stuff full
Well, yeah,
circle.
you can tell the whole story then.
Yeah, so I mean, there's kind of two parallel stories. So I go back. I decide, listen, because my active duty time was going to be ending later that year, and I said, you know what? Let me just go on this. I'll volunteer to go back. I was just there. I'm in the zone. I know what I'm doing. I'll go back. So I went back and finished the deployment with that second unit. Ran out the clock with them. So when I get back there, it's time for another, after a while, obviously you're there for a few months, and then it's time for us to get relieved and have another unit come in to replace us. Now this will be the second time. And this one unit that was coming is kind of like became very infamous for this. Obviously this area was like very contested. We'd already taken a lot of casualties, both KIA and WIA wounded. And they were coming in and they unit that was going to be in this area from start to finish. So for their entire 7 months or whatever. So we have a guy that was a classmate. He was junior to us, but he had been a prior enlisted Marine and then graduate Miller.
Mm-hmm. He was 08. Yeah, he was 1 year behind us.
Okay, so he's a year behind us. So this is his first deployment now as a new infantry officer. He's a first lieutenant. He may have been a second lieutenant. I don't recall. And he's coming with this unit's 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines. They're out of Camp Pendleton. And actually, I don't know if you saw in the Trump administration, but they had the former general. His name was Kelly. He was still an active duty general at the time. His son was also a lieutenant in 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines. So we have General Kelly's son, a brand new infantry officer, and we have Will Donnelly coming over. So their unit did the relief with us, and when Will got off the helicopter, I didn't, you didn't have Facebook and shit like phones and stuff. You didn't know who was going where and coming in. So I just happened to literally bump into the guy, and we were bullshitting. I'm like, man, what's going on? How's it going? I'm like, yeah, this is my second time. I'm getting out of here. And I just said, listen, man, this is a dangerous place. You got to be careful out there, obviously. Which you would say to anybody. It wasn't like anything in particular. It wasn't like a foreshadowing. It was just saying what you would say to somebody when you're wishing them well. Mm-hmm. And that unit, like right out of the bat, like wanted to mix it up and do the things that Marines do. And both General Kelly's son and Will Donnelly were both killed like very early on.
God,
so early on.
Was it IED or?
Yeah, I believe it was an IED for Will Donnelly. I don't recall for what happened with the general's son. Will was killed on Thanksgiving Day, so I was already back in the States. But when General Kelly's son was killed, there was reporting in the media that there was a lieutenant with the last name Kelly that was KIA. And there were people who didn't, there was like a lot of like, I started when I got back to a computer eventually, or when I was able to sort it out, it was like, some people thought for a little bit of time that it was actually, it was me.
I mean, it was your unit.
Same place,
basically,
same time, doing the relief,
Yeah.
But, our friend Will was a class of 2008 guy from Kings Point. He was one of our combat deaths from the Global War.
His sister was our classmate.
Yes, she was.
Yeah.
Yes, she was.
And they were actually from Southern Maryland, dude.
No shit.
They spent a lot of time over in like the Nanjamoy area.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
It's always the worst though when you used to hear about IEDs. You were like, you bitches.
Right.
But like,
roadkill IEDs
but
and
again,
shit.
Yeah, we got the.
Yeah, that was like really was one of their big things. I mean, they would. I remember, we were going out there one day. All right, whatever we were doing, we started to getting pretty good at finding them.
Yeah. Noticing them.
Yeah, noticing them. There was telltale signs. There was ways to find them. They figure
Smallest
something out.
debris.
We figure out a way. Go back and forth. And while we're sitting on this thing trying to dispose of it, then they start coming out of the woodwork and shooting at you. You know what I mean? So you're like trying to hold them off, get this thing blown up, and get the fuck out of that.
Didn't they have a new a vehicle or something that kind of like had like a clearing like in the front of it?
Yes, yeah, we had. It kind of looks like an same chassis basically, but it shoots like this like bungee cord that goes out like hundreds of feet, and then when it lands on the ground, it just blows up.
No shit.
And so by proxy would blow up the
right.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Right. It would, we would use it to do like route clearance.
I feel like that should have been a little
Weren't
earlier
a lot
on.
of the IUDs, whatever. Sorry, my bad.
DUIs.
I'm hammered.
It's in your future.
A lot of those things went off just
easy, Jake. God dang.
with the sun, right? Like,
What?
wasn't the sun like the timer? It would get hot enough and boom.
It was crude. There were some. Obviously everything was crudely made. There was no like you go to Home Depot and get this shit.
Right. I could do. I just pictured a Italian shopping in Lowe's.
Yeah, I mean they would pick shit out of your garbage can. They would pick shit out of our garbage dump. That's why we had to burn a lot of the stuff inside the wire.
Dude, I was reading.
Because you couldn't put metal and stuff out in there because they would use that.
I was reading a book about this Russian sniper who was working for the North Vietnamese in Vietnam, and he needed some parts for his gun, and they just had a guy go shop in California at like a Lowe's and ship him back to him.
No shit.
Because they couldn't get it anywhere in Asia, and Russia didn't have it, and he just shopped and shipped it to him.
That's ridiculous.
That's awesome.
It is ridiculous. But I also read a book recently called Fearless, which is Adam Brown's story. I don't know if you guys know him. Maybe you do, Pat. He's a Navy SEAL who got on SEAL Team 6, Dev Group, and he was addicted to meth before he became a SEAL. Great story. Got killed, superhero. He got killed over there. But his group they were the guys that were responsible for dismantling like the IED group, like the people that make them and knew how. And after they did their thing, I mean,
It got a lot easier.
Marine deaths went way down.
Got a lot easier.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
They dismantled like the whole network.
Rip.
I know a guy, Tim Watson. His dad was a pastor of the church while I was in 29 Palms. It's funny, full circle here. The pastor in 29 Palms of Calvary, I don't know. His son was a Marine as well, and over there, and he got hit by IED and died. And a lot of stories came out about that guy, and he was. Yeah, I grew up that kid. My sister loved that guy. He was awesome. And that was my only like connection to an actual soldier that died over there, and it hurt. It sucked. And there was a lot of people over here have the same experience, obviously, of somebody they love. And I mean, did anybody on your squad over there, like, were you guys like friends before you went there, or was it afterwards?
No,
do you know what I'm saying?
One
like
of those things. Yeah, you rarely like get to have like a running mate, so to speak, with you doing all the same things you're doing, and then you can, it just doesn't work that way.
You just show up and there's a guy. You're like, you do this, I do this.
God, you guys must form bonds so quick.
Have to, right?
Holy shit!
I mean, in our community on the officer side, there's so few of us that, and we're always supposed to try to, make sure that relationship between us and the guys is professional. It's you could be, if you're like the only guy, you could be kind of I wouldn't say it's lonely, but you're only going to have a small circle of people that really are going to be the guys that you're close with all the time.
Right.
I don't mean that we're not close, but you know what I mean? Like, there's a difference between being like someone's the leader and somebody who's trying to, take care of the guys, and being like their best friend. Like, that's not what they want, and that's not what they need. They need someone who's going to do right by them.
Right.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, the senior enlisted Marines, the staff sergeants, the gunnery sergeants, the sergeant majors, like those guys, I have the best relationship with still to this day. because we work closely together, obviously.
Right.
You know, the Lance Corporal, which is the backbone of the organization.
I really should learn.
I know a lot of
He's
them
the youngest
too,
guy.
I know. I should. I gotta learn that.
We didn't really have, you know, we don't have the same, maybe as personal of a relationship, and that's kind of what they want you to. That's how it should be, you know.
So
you need to have your conscience can't be clouded. You know,
yeah,
when
by
you
your
have to make
friendship or whatever. You got drunk the night before.
That's why I was going to ask.
Right.
Also, it feels like it's almost like a barrier gets set up anyways.
You have to. That's why there is ranks. That's why there is the way it is. We trial and error over the last 6,000 years.
So,
Pat, question. Oh, you got one, Brent?
Go ahead.
I want to ask a question, and if Pat doesn't want to answer it, then I'm completely okay with it. If it's a little deep or whatever, but Pat, you have done and seen things that less than 0.5% of the population of the United States will ever do, see, hear, whatever. Do you have? I mean, for lack of better terms, do you have any survivor's guilt? Like, how are you doing mentally?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I'm dying to know, as a person who, like, believe me, I don't do what you've done or even do to this day, but as a person who has mental health issues, I want to know how you're doing.
Because you couldn't imagine yourself.
Oh my God. No way.
Yeah,
I don't have, this guy's got chrome-plated balls. I don't have that.
But there's a lot of people like you too.
Right.
And there's a lot of people like him.
I'm just asking a question as an American who loves our troops, loves this country, but could never, ever do what you've done. I want to know how you're doing.
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, I think I'm doing pretty well, notwithstanding. The one thing that because we have this big problem with veteran suicides, and I'm sure you see it all the time.
Of course, it's 22 or 21 a day.
I still haven't really been able to wrap my head around exactly why those things are going on. I mean, I had somebody very close to me, do that to himself, even years later.
Right.
Many years later. A very, very close person to me, and it would really hurt our small community here, and a lot of our friends and family pretty hard that happened. And I, in the 11th hour, I did start to see what they would call indicators and warnings or warning signs that maybe this was going to go on.
Right.
So I think if you're paying attention and you're doing what you're supposed to do, as a family member or a leader or whatever else, like, we might be able to get involved in some of this stuff, maybe when, and try to prevent some of it. But the thing is that everybody, it just seems to affect everyone differently. Like, we just dealt with this coronavirus stuff. Like,
just like
some people get sick, some people don't, some people die, some people have breathing problems. It's just it's
so
just
random,
so individual. Individual results vary, and honestly, there must be something. I just don't. I could do a few things, but I really can't speculate very well on how we could do better with this type of stuff, because it just never really bothered.
Do you miss it?
Any of it?
What he just said.
I would tell you that those were hands down. And I'm still doing the reserve thing now. I'm in 17 years.
Right.
I just did a deployment 2 years ago.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy.
I'm enjoying it. I think
it's what you were here for.
I just don't know. It pains me to see people, even guys, get out and get disgruntled or say bad things about the organization.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
It pains us too. Trust me.
Yeah, for sure.
Granted, some people do get the short end of the stick on some stuff too. It's just, I've always been very fortunate to have good timing. Thankfully, I came back. Everybody that worked, with me, I wouldn't say for me, it's not really the right word, worked with me, always came back. I mean, we had some guys that were pretty badly hurt, but they made it. And then only in the years that have followed, like, guys were killed in combat that I know and did work with me, but, I wasn't there at the time. They were there on a return deployment or something, so.
I guess, but the bad guys, the killing, did that have any effect either?
No, not at all. Honestly, not in the least. Not in the least.
Yeah, I mean, if you believe the cause, like, I think that's awesome.
I don't know if there's a way to really justify it in your head, but, like, these are some, for them to treat even their own people and their neighbors the way that they treat them. Like, to me,
right.
It's like, you're not just doing it to take care of everybody back home or the guy to the left and the right, but like, look at these poor people here they're powerless against.
And you left them.
Oppression and all these other things. And
Not
like,
you,
we're
but
really the only people that can do something about it.
Exactly.
Right.
So
like, nobody could do what we can do. There's no country, there's nobody can do what we do.
Absolutely.
And,
so Pat,
I think we have some kind of a moral obligation to fucking do the right thing.
I agree with you. So Pat, to save my ass, because I'm the one that edits this, it's a little long, and I think we should do a part 2 about your current life with being a police officer, correct?
I want Kelly back on the show.
Yeah,
this has been awesome.
I want to talk about that, and honestly, it's going to be a part 2 because I want to wrap this one up, and I want to ask you, after all of that, what does it feel like to you, someone that's actually been there and done this, to see them in the gear, to see them in the vehicles, to see them in the
Black Hogs,
see them carrying weapons, see them with the night vision goggles on their helmets.
Right.
What does that make you? Because it pisses me off, and I had nothing to do with it.
Right.
Except for watch it from afar and pick up newspapers on Sundays and see which soldiers this week. And I mean, I did do that. I was invested somewhat, and
right.
I want to know how that made you feel, though.
Yeah, well, obviously everything is sensationalized on TV. So,
Sure.
I definitely, it was, I don't know if upsetting is the word, because I mean, it's like I cried in my room or something, but it just looked like, it just struck me as like, this is
stupid,
not what was really planned. And this got way out of hand. And to think that we could allow something like that to be what appeared, and the perception can be reality, right? That it was just like botched.
Yes.
And rushed. And,
planned.
And we had a lot of Marines killed in one day, more than had been lost than in a decade.
Can you imagine at the end of the 20-year war?
Right.
You were out the last
I always
month.
used to say this even then, because I didn't think it was ever gonna work out to the way that I think everyone thought it was gonna work out. And I just said, like, I was all about going there and doing the job, but when it became like obvious that we weren't really going to be able to do this nation building thing, if we could just focus on the mission of what we really wanted to do from the get-go, from the 9/11 type thing, I was definitely on board with that. But I always would say to myself, like, my heart breaks for who's going to be the very last guy to die here.
That mission you're talking about was,
and I've been saying that for years,
Yeah.
Just to myself or my circle of friends. And we had 3 guys from my reserve unit killed there in 2018 when I was on my deployment as well. And I thought, one of them was a friend of mine who lives not far from my house here in New York. And
you were there in 2018? Sorry.
I was involved with the ISIS campaign. Not
dude.
He's been back a bunch, dude.
I know.
Shit.
I know.
Hey,
but I'm just thinking about what I was.
Part 2.
I know. I'm just thinking about what I was doing in 2018, and it's not shit.
No, we were going to the beach with our wives, dude.
Yeah, he has a daughter and stuff, and he's going back.
We get to do that because of that.
Exactly. I mean, it's all one team.
I'm
one
sorry.
Fight. Like,
I didn't mean to cut you off. But
no, what I was getting at is it was I just didn't want to see the last guy, and I remember saying that to myself. I thought this guy that I knew well was going to be that very last guy, because that was certainly not planned. What went on with him and those Marines at that time, all 3. And then when this happened, I said, this really upset me, because the reason that leadership is the people, leadership mistakes, let's just say whatever level you want to put it at, are the ones that caused these Marines to be in a place where they were maybe not as set up for success as a leader should be doing for them. And like I said, our organization is focused on that guy, right? And making him survivable and lethal. And I just didn't think it just didn't strike me as that might have been the case. Like, they were kind of put out in a situation with,
set up to fail.
Yeah, set up to failure, almost. Yeah, almost.
If you're not 100% set up for success, then there's a little bit of percentage in there that's for failure, and
of course
they send them in there not knowing the outcome.
That just made me upset thinking if that was in fact.
Well, then that means the whole thing's corrupt at that point, right?
The exit seemed so unplanned that it seemed planned. You know what I'm saying? Like it was
I see what you're saying.
Odd that it's like, what? No way.
Well, so Pat's such a 100% like pure Marine, and he trusts the system and trusts the organization, the core.
Yeah.
And he's, and I'm not saying you're saying it, I'm saying it.
This rocked.
These 13 Marines that were killed, it seems like the failure in leadership was within the core itself by letting it get to that. And somebody should have said no. No. That's not how we do business. We don't fly in, with no protection or whatever whatever the case was.
When there's another airport,
and then that brings in the whole like there's doubt. And it's like it's how things erode from the inside. It totally sucks.
Read up on Rome. It's the same thing. It's distrust. It's everything just crumbles from inside out. That's all that happens.
No, I agree.
And ultimately what it comes down to is, just like, if we could talk about this at another time with law enforcement is, we, the Department of Defense, the guys on the ground in uniform, we work, our bosses are civilian, the Secretary of Defense and the National Command Authority, the President, all them, they're civilians.
Yep.
And the decisions that they make are what's going to go down.
My man.
Now, you would hope that our leadership would be able to help advise them in their best way possible. But, that may not always be the case, that the message gets across or whatever else, because their decisions is going to be what it is,
Mm-hmm. It really is.
And
it's what they say goes.
They're trying to
weird,
get votes,
right? It's really weird.
Man,
what they say goes. That's weird.
I don't know a lot of things.
That's the way it has to be, but I do agree
I know.
with that.
No, agreed. But
I want Kelly to come down here. I want to pour down here. I want to pour this man a drink.
That was at my wedding, bro.
I want to high five him.
I met him.
Yep.
I got some family down in Maryland.
Yeah,
it's down there.
Yeah, he's got some family over in Salisbury area.
Oh, all right.
On the Eastern Shore.
Look. Part 2. Let's do I'm excited about the cop part. I got it. I can't wait. I can't wait.
I do want to lighten up the conversation a little bit. I have one more question.
What if I have one more question?
Kelly? No. Listen. No. It's a quick one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Kelly, Islanders or Rangers?
Rangers, definitely.
No, you're wrong. The answer is Capitals. Have a good night.
He's Rangers, Giants, Yankees.
Yeah, that's usually how it goes. Like,
you're from Long Island and a Rangers fan.
Wow. It's either that or your Islanders, Mets, Jets.
And Jet fans. You go to they're garbage. They're just garbage fans.
I love this guy.
Knicks or Nets? Knicks or Nets? Knicks, right?
Yeah, it would be Knicks. Yeah.
If you care about
we don't
care about basketball.
Kelly is New York through and through. He doesn't even care about the island right now.
You go to a Ranger game at Madison Square Garden, the guys in the stands, they got nice jackets on. You go to like an Islander, and there's like, it's just like a broken down school bus.
The funny thing is, I have been to a game. I've been to a game at Nassau Coliseum. The seats were wooden, and I promise you that it's not a lie.
South Shore trash,
dude. Nassau Coliseum sucks.
So, you didn't even need me to say it. You knew it.
Yeah, dude. I've been there. There's water leaking everywhere.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of sad, actually. It's
poor guys.
Hell yeah!
How'd they get a team?
Yeah, we'll line up part 2 soon, man. Thank you so much for coming on.
Absolutely.
Glad we did this. This was cool, guys. This was cool. I really appreciate you guys giving me a chance to, get the message out there.
Hey, man, it's good to talk about it. And dude, we are so pumped that you actually came on and wanted to talk and
yeah, dude, because people like me who don't know shit from shit.
I love it. Same time.
We still won't watch Ozark.
I can't watch Ozark because of my anxiety. I need people like Franco. I need people like Kelly to tell us what it really is like. I don't like watching.
He's barely telling us.
I know, but
I get drunk next time.
I don't like watching the news. I want to hear it from the source. This is awesome.
Yeah, I love it.
This was such a good conversation.
Part 2 with Kelly is going to be happening. I don't know when.
Soon.
We'll set it up.
We'll set it up.
Yeah, dude.
We'll set it up.
Yeah, let me know, guys.
We'll do, my friend.
Any
dude.
parting words?
Any parting words for people listening? Solid 100 people.
Have a drink on me. That's all.
Hey,
that's my guy right here.
PayPal, Kelly. No, I'm just kidding.
That's right.
All right, man. We appreciate it, man.
Yeah,
have a good night.
Dude.
Thank you so much.
You guys are the best, man. Take
Hey,
care.
Man.
We'll be back in